Hi, everyone. Welcome to our CFDA One Rockwell webinar. We are so grateful to the team at One Rockwell for being available to go over optimizing your online business. I know this is a big pain point for a lot of people right now, but also a big opportunity for a lot of you to learn more about. In joining us today on the webinar, we have 5 team members from One Rockwell. We have Shelly Sokol, who is the co-founder, as well as Paul Helian, who's also the co-founder and CTO. We have Darren Rash, who is the head of product and solutions, Adam Wilson, who handles engagement, and Melissa Speranza, who's head of client services. So thank you all for joining us today. I'm going to hand the mic essentially over to Shelly, who's going to moderate. And if any of our guests have questions, you can send those and submit those in your little chat box. And towards the end of the presentation, we'll answer your questions that you're going to submit. So thank you, and Shelly, hand it over to you.
Thank you, Sasha. I appreciate it. And I appreciate the CFDA inviting us today to speak with all of you and share some of our insights on how to traverse this new terrain and circumstances that we all are finding ourselves in. One Rockwell is a digital agency. We're really focused primarily on e-commerce. We work with clients such as Norma Kamali, Perna Zabet, Mark Cross, Farm Rio, Tula, Alexis Batar, CoverGirl. We definitely play within a lot of different industries, started off in fashion specifically, and have started to about 3 years ago, entered heavily into beauty and skincare, as well as home and interiors, accessories, tech, so on and so forth. So we have a lot of insights as far as, how different industries are coping in this situation that we're all in. Actually, over the past few weeks, we've been hosting our own Coffee and Connects and bringing together our clients together for an open and transparent discussion in which we all share information on what is working and not working. We're definitely starting to see an upward trend from a month ago when we were all in a little bit of shock and awe, and we're seeing our clients start to adjust their businesses accordingly. Personally, I would say for our entire team is that we're finding having a community to share concepts and ideas is incredibly important and needed during these times. It's really coming together, and sharing that information has been really wonderful for our team and for our clients, and just giving everyone tips on what's working and not. In this particular webinar, we are going to go over a few different areas, starting with immediate priorities and what to focus on, your brand's consumer experience, your marketing spend, some short and long-term wins, and consumer trends and habits that we're observing. I'm going to moderate the conversation and let everyone chime in on the various topics with their thoughts and observations, more of a conversation than necessarily one person speaking on one particular subject. Sasha introduced the team, so I'm going to get going, and we're going to start with a couple questions around setting, up your immediate priorities. I'm going to ask Paul, during this time, what would you suggest, for the brands that are here today, would be their immediate priorities to surf this new normal, not just now, but for the future, as the terrain has changed so much.
Thanks, Shel. I, like everyone, I think we have had to readjust ourselves, and maybe I'll give you some insights into what we did, and I think it's transferable to most companies, but especially retail. I think the first thing is to really focus on your core, focus on the MVP or minimal viable product, whatever the core of your business is. I'm sure, in the past we've done lots of different things to get squeeze out every dollar and move every channel, but at this time, you have to get the core working properly and really focusing on shoring that up. Be prepared for the long run. This isn't going to be over sometime in the summer. This isn't going to be over in the next few weeks or months. It's going to be a a long haul, a long road that you're going to have to travel. So be prepared for that. We found, and I think it's important to make those hard choices early. You know, I'm sure there's plenty of tough decisions you're having to make, and it's not easy to make them. So it's easy to procrastinate, easy to put off a decision when it's really difficult. But if you make the hard choices early, the cuts you need to make, the focus you need to change, it gives you more options in the long run. So making sure you really focus on that is important. And part of that is making sure that you question everything, question previous assumptions. You know, everything's on the table. Old patterns might be new patterns. So really assess your business at each level and try and look at the core of your business and see how you can optimize that and get that working as best you can, because it's what you're going to rely on for the months to come.
One of the things that I think, going back to what you just said, that, you know, we've all experienced in our own company is, you know, trying to stay nimble and flexible in these times when things are changing so fast. Melissa, I know, you know, Melissa's had, you know, she's the head of our client service, so she oversees all of our design and build and our managed service clients, and has had a wide range of conversations in the last couple of weeks with everybody. Melissa, do you have any thoughts, you know, based on some of your observations about, you know, how you know, the teams need to stay nimble and flexible and perhaps use different resources for different parts of their business?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, on our side, we've definitely been probably over communicating internally, but also sharing a lot of what clients are telling us. And something we're offering to our clients, obviously we have our standard services that we offer, but a lot of our project managers have come from the brand side as well. And so they do have experience with merchandising, uploading content, helping with email marketing. So we're definitely extending our services more than normal during this time, because what we've seen on the brand side is, you know, they've had to maybe reduce the size of their team, or their team might be spread thin to you know, to carry where, you know, multiple tasks and probably wearing more hats than they normally already do. So we're just trying to also adapt to that and understand where their needs are and how we can best support with the skill set that our team members have. And they've, you know, been really open to that. I think they understand that, you know, they're in a similar place that we are, and it's all about working together and getting through this, like Paul said, for the long haul. And everyone's been very responsive to working together and figuring out how we can get through this.
I think also to stay nimble, you know, you've got to communicate. That's not just to your customer, not just within your own team, but think about your supply chain, think about your delivery, think about your logistics. What was okay yesterday mightn't be okay today. So, you know, have a communication channel with your warehouse, your supply chain, your logistics, your return process, if there's any other third parties involved there. Ensure that your current process works and continues to work, and that has something you can't just presume is going to be okay next week or tomorrow even. So it's your business is going to change, and that you're having to shore up areas that were, you know, something you didn't have to think about before. But again, going back to the MVP, making sure you can do everything you can to get conversions and sales done and returns and each that process as smooth as possible, while still being very communicative with your customers if there is going to be a disruption. But ensuring that you understand the disruption and you can communicate that means you have to have a really good cadence of communication with your vendors and making sure they're still viable.
I'm going to go to some policy and procedures. I'm probably going to shoot this off just really around the language, and either Melissa, Paul, Adam, you can chime in. But, you know, obviously during this particular moment we're in, policies that worked before versus policies that work now, and how we're communicating that to our consumers and when to communicate that. You know, we've got different return policies, procedures, you know, obviously related to sales. So if any of you guys want to chime in on, you know, some of the things that we've seen that are working, maybe not working, that you can give some transparency on.
Yeah, I can.
Well, you know, Oh,
Sorry.
no, you go first. You're probably closer to it. No, you go first. You're probably closer to it than me.
It's top of mind because we actually just talked to some of our clients, only a half hour ago, and a lot of them are saying that they definitely are rethinking a lot of their policies from a customer service perspective, keeping in mind that they should be really clear about how long it might take to ship, if it's going to take longer than normal. For return rates, people are being a lot more flexible about what might be typical final sale items. One of our beauty brands is, making sure that they're being really flexible with customers if they want to try a different color or a different product. Sometimes instead of, having them return an item or exchange it, they're just letting them keep it and send out a new one. And what they're realizing is that that investment is actually coming back in a very positive way. And a lot of those customers are going to social media and really talking positively about their experience with the brand through the flexibility that they're allowing from a customer service perspective. So, people are definitely pivoting to make it really clear and to avoid a lot of those customer service calls. And in return, I think they have seen a really great response from customers, ones that are proactively really going out there and speaking positively about the brand, which is, such a great PR moment during a time like this. I think customers are probably being pretty selective about what they're buying and who they're buying it from. So those little moments are going to really go a long way.
I think as well as that, customer returns, I think is a huge touch point. But I would look at all your touch points with your customers, making sure they all resonate in this current new normal. Your marketing angle, your editorial, the content, where you're grouping products, but also any email communication. Think about all the touch points to your customer, because they don't have the same experience of your brand now. They're sitting at home. They're not browsing or walking into stores. They're not having a physical contact. So your digital touch points are going to be the focus of all your communication. So if one area doesn't resonate or is not up to date with what the world is like, if your shipping policy, if your marketing angle or your promotion on your site, it doesn't resonate, it's going to make it feel that you're out of step with the rest of society or the rest of the retail world. So making sure all your touch points are considered, not just the main touch point or the main parts of the conversion channel.
I'm going to move to the consumer experience online, and in this moment, how are we refreshing it? Also, pre-COVID, the different types of channels we were using and how to use obviously social in the best way possible, as well as your own website, and what's the integration of both of them. As far as assets and what you guys feel would be, would resonate the most during this time, because we're really, obviously this is a lot about longevity for the brands, garnering that interaction with the consumer, even if they're not coming to purchase, but they're just coming to understand who you are, and have more of a deeper, relationship to the brand during these times when people are, at home and by themselves. Is there anyone have any thoughts on different assets that resonate the most, or, kind of how you're connecting with your consumer?
I would say less from the asset standpoint and more from just a general functionality standpoint. I think I was reading a research paper the other day where I think over 80% of consumers wanted the option to pay in installments, and I know that's been a really huge thing for the past year or two. And a lot of clients that do not offer that, a lot of times it's more of they're afraid it may cheapen their brand image. But I think right now during this time is the perfect time to offer it, even if it is just for a limited time, to give your customers the opportunity for a flexible payment option. A lot of brands obviously offer free shipping across the board. Other brands offer it at a certain threshold. So like $100 and above, you get free shipping. Really consider bringing that down to just offer free shipping across the board. Right now, shipping is pretty much delayed for everyone. So if they don't have to pay for it on top of it, that's a much better experience. Customer service in general will really help. So if you don't have live chat, really consider doing that. But I think offsite, you really need to make sure you're focusing on an omni-channel experience. And I think it's, really focusing on social and how you're talking to your consumers, and less from a selling standpoint and more from an understanding standpoint. Speak to them because you are them, not because you're trying to convert them into a sell. So that's sort of my thought on that.
I'm going to go to Darren.
Oh, go
Liz,
ahead.
you want to go?
I was just going to say, Adam brought up the live chat, and I think like outside of payment installments, which is sort of an easy opportunity to create a better experience for your customer, live chat, I think is like the next popular feature that people are quickly spinning up on their site. I think people in the past probably considered it, but realized maybe they don't have the manpower, the capacity to really do a live chat. But I think people are really trying to keep the team that they have, and so they're trying to find other ways for those team members to get involved and really drive more of the business online while that's still open and stores are closed. So we've seen a lot of people use like their sales associate or their experts in the store to be the ones that are actually directly now talking to their customers online for personal shopping experiences or for a skincare routine, whatever it might be. But it's not just about, kind of helping the customer service experience if there's an issue with an order or if they're tracking their order. It's also about being proactive and really giving that personal experience to a customer about what they should buy and what works for them. And they're using the staff that they have that are very well versed in the products that they're selling already. So it's a really easy transition. And, I think some of the clients that are doing it now are probably going to consider keeping that experience to some extent when things start to become a little bit more normal. So I think people are seeing a lot of successes in the amount of like organic sales that are coming through just from having those natural conversations through the e-commerce experience.
Yeah, when it comes to assets as well, thinking for the content you've got, if your product is shot in a way that explains the sizing maybe better, or if you can add description for sizing, or there's true fit and some other sizing services, people can't go into shops and try on your product. So I think Darren had some ideas around that as well. But I think over explaining your fits and allowing people to consume a home in a way that makes them feel confident that they understand your product at scale is something you can also add to your content.
I'm going to direct this to Darren. Darren's head of our product department and has a lot of expertise in the third parties that we use, the technology third parties that we use. And one of the strengths is her thinking about the roadmap for all of our brands as 3 months, 6 months, a year, and what features are going to be the best. Now, obviously, a lot of that was pre-COVID. So now the question is what are some of those really smart features that you can implement now, but are for the long term, and that they're not, they're not overly expensive, but they'll make a big difference on your ROI, and especially during this time. So, Darren, I would love to ask you, you're obviously across a lot of the different third parties. What are some that you think would be really, helpful during this period of time?
Yeah, I think it's safe to look at this in a way of we've lost a lot of our retail in-store experience. So how can you bring some, key pieces of a retail experience to your online presence? Offering try-at-home solutions, partners like Try Now are coming up in a lot of conversations because they offer that insurance of sending the product to the customer and giving them the option to try it on at home, see how they like it, see how it fits directly on them, and they have a time frame of when they can send that back without having to deal with a purchase and a return flow. Additionally, while we're all home, people are still celebrating birthdays and anniversaries and other special occasions where normally you may go into a store and purchase a gift for someone, but now you don't have that connection. So partnering with someone like Gift Now or similar that allows you to shop an e-commerce website, buy a gift that's more personal and send it digitally rather than just sending a gift card. You can really shop the merchandise, pick something that you really think makes sense for that recipient and send it to them. But they still have the option to maybe modify it a little bit before they commit to that gift purchase as well. I could go on, but I'll maybe pause there.
Let me ask you something, because obviously we're all very mindful of our budgets and, you know, being really smart with our cash flow and how we're investing in new features. From an expense standpoint, you know, as we're running very lean and tight organizations, and, you know, brands are considering every move that they make, from their marketing spend to new features that they're implementing to ensuring that, you know, they're delivering on time. What features do you feel are out there that could be very supportive to the brand's businesses, but at the same time not cost a lot from an implementation standpoint?
Yeah, I think what's worth is looking at all partners today. What we've seen from our partners and the solutions they have, they're going through this too. So they're not spared from the environment that we're in now. A lot of people are waiving implementation fees. A lot of people are extending free trials. Some other things that help cut cost when working with a new partner is sticking to configurations, not going beyond out of the box capabilities, because then you can really tailor it more to a plug and play implementation rather than really trying to tailor it to a very custom solution, which does add time and then adds cost to your budget. A lot of solutions that are out there can easily be plugged into a lot of our popular e-commerce platforms, Shopify, Magento, Salesforce. There's ways to consider what your requirements may have been pre-COVID and maybe reevaluate those, even going back to what Paul mentioned about focusing on the core and the MVP. You know, tailoring it down and seeing what partners have readily available that can be easily set up and configured on your site will definitely help with that cost reduction.
I think, you know, on a macro level as well, reassess your roadmap. Your roadmap, you know, should be quite long. I'd bring that closer. Look at kind of 3-month roadmap, maybe rather than a year, 18 months, from a technology point of view or a feature or a systems point of view. You know, but with that kind of bringing that shorter, there's some projects that just take a longer amount of time, and really assess if they're worth the time and effort. You want to get things that are going to give you a quick turnaround, a quick return on investment, have an immediate impact on sales and uptick on the stickiness of the site or things like that. So focus on things that are achievable in a short amount of time. You know, some issues are very important for the business, but if there isn't going to be a business in 4 months, there's no point in doing a 4-month project. You know, scale back, reassess, look at their to-do list and say, what, as Darren said, what can be done in a really easy way. I'm not saying low-hanging fruit, but if your business needs to do a certain type of feature, do it in the most simple way, and do it in the way that's more out of the box, as Darren said. But choose the things that are going to make a difference, not commit huge amount of budget or whatever amount of budget you have to something that's not going to be finished for 2 months. It's important to keep on achieving, keep on progressing, and take smaller bites of the apple.
I would also just maybe wrap this up too with, look at partners who also assume some of the risk with the feature. So if you're looking to try and build out a better exchange process to reduce returns, partners like Returnly offer risk-free credit that can give customers instant exchanges. So they're not necessarily waiting for that product to reach back into your warehouse and have the workflow that is required to apply that credit to their account. If you are experiencing delays with shipping with your carriers right now, and you're also noticing that reports of stolen products are rising, partner with someone like Route, who does shipping insurance and covers the risk of having to do a replacement order through their services. There are ways to add some other new features that give customers ease of receiving or returning their products, but don't put full amounts of risk onto the merchant themselves.
Great point.
So I kind of want to segue just a little bit into marketing, because obviously this is a big part of the business in driving sales and engagement. And obviously we're in an era right now where, we're sending out a lot of emails, social is being used more than ever, live chat, and, just being able to stand out and resonate in this period of time, with messaging that feels authentic and transparent and captures the attention of your consumer while they're being inundated with so much information at the same time. What type of, promotions, obviously, we don't want to be too promotional. We want integrity with our brands. Are you seeing work, different types of sales, tiered promotions, flat discounts, additional sales on top that doesn't, dilute your brand essence? I'll leave that up to the crew to you guys can take this if you want. Melissa, I know you've had exposure. Adam.
Yeah, I can probably start on this one. I think that brands there's no one rule or way that it's working. I think this is kind of like the time to experiment a little bit. And I think while brands are trying to be extra cautious about not being too salesy, both in promoting sales and promoting product, but also in making sure that they're not degrading the brand. And I think what people are doing is trying to capitalize on if there is a discount, doing it for the right reasons and for the right cause. We've had a client that just did 10% of all the proceeds going to donations, and they received not only great sales, but direct feedback from their customers saying how great they thought it was to be part of that contribution. So many individuals want to help and they're stuck at home. So one of the ways of doing that is to be able to rely on, the bigger brands that can actually pool some of the donations together and give that out. So it feels like individuals, could contribute in some way. We have another client of ours that sort of did like a buy one, donate one. So you got a discount on purchasing a product, and in return, a mask was donated for every order to hospitals. So, I think a lot of customers are really, not only looking out for a sale and for a discount, but looking for that discount to actually go towards something positive and to help people in need right now. And that's been, working really well, and, makes customers feel good. It makes brands feel good. And at the end of the day, the customer is, getting a really great product at a little bit of a discount. So they're certainly not complaining about that. I can go on and tell you tons of more, but I know Adam has a lot to share too. So I can pass the baton.
Yeah, I think you can't afford to do nothing. Basically, the range of things that you can do is pretty large. So not everyone can pivot and start making masks and sending them to healthcare workers, right? But there's a whole range of things that you can do. You have to find the right way to contribute to what's going on. You really can't afford to just sit back and just hope to get sales and not say anything. But again, that range can be anything from making masks, doing donations, to, if you're also a lifestyle brand, doing yoga classes on Instagram Live, or sending out recorded meditations once a day or once a week to your subscribers. Anything that speaks to your audience, your consumer specifically, in a genuine and authentic way is going to be successful, because I think a lot of brands right now are focused too much on how do we make a sale right now. And I get it, that's important. You have to have revenue to sustain and pull through this. But a lot of brands are going to pull through this. And you have to think of what's happening afterwards. And part of that is making sure that you're not just focused on making sales right now, but focused on maintaining a sense of loyalty with the consumers that you already have, and then the new ones who discover you during this time as well. Because once this is all over with, if they're now going to be loyal to you based on how you handled your brand in this situation, they're more likely to come back and purchase from you afterwards. So I think that's just as important, if not more important, than just trying to get a sale now. It's trying to figure out what's an authentic and genuine way for you to grow and succeed past this point as well, not just in it.
Yeah, I think it's a perfect time to build community, and it really is. We need community at the moment, so that would resonate with people. And I think there's things you can do on the side to help sales, but that as Adam said, will keep better for you in the long run. to really over communicate and have a conversation with your customers, because we're all sitting on our computers all day, and it's a good time. I think one of the stats we're seeing is that newsletter unsubscribes have pretty much flattened. You know, you always imagine newsletters, people unsubscribing to them all the time. People aren't at the moment. So, you know, reinvest and invigorate your newsletter program. You know, on the site-wide, you know, setting multiples, of course, and site-wide promotions are what most people are doing, but it really has to resonate with your business. Be true to your own product and your own product line. Just don't do something because someone else is doing it. It still has to make sense with your product line.
Do you guys have any thoughts? Obviously, you know, you have your site experience versus your social channels, you know, between, you know, Facebook and IG and live chat, and, you know, everyone's being inundated with this. And then there's your existing site that obviously is where everyone's going to engage and transact and purchase product. As far as all those touch points, do you feel the messaging works when it's most cohesive, or that you're using the channels for different purposes?
Well, yeah, in general, it should always be cohesive, but use the right channel for the right type of communication. I think you know, don't be heavily promotional in areas where your customers are looking for a conversation or a community. Don't try and oversell in those areas. But I think, you know, you still have to have a cohesive voice, because you don't know, everyone accesses you in a different way. Whether it's through social, whether it's on the site, whether it's through email, you know, there has to be a kind of overarching voice, but try and focus on the right channel for the right type of communication as well.
Yeah, and I feel like, you know, we understand that brands are trying to be lean and thin, and I think a trend that we're seeing is that people are being really smart about the experience on the e-commerce site, but they're also not trying to you know, overdo anything. You know, they're focusing on the e-commerce channel being a selling point, and they're being mindful of the customer experience in terms of purchasing. And then all of the other communication is really coming from the social channel. So that's where I think they're kind of becoming more human as a brand. They're, you know, bringing in conversation influencers, you know, having fun with, you know, showing what people are doing at home, whether they're cooking or working out, sharing playlists. So they're definitely, I think brands are showing more of their personality and adding that new natural content through social media, and then sort of not necessarily carrying all of that over to their e-commerce site. They're letting that natural interest through social drive people to e-commerce, and then letting people shop or explore the way the site stands as it is now.
One of the things that we've seen, and it's I think an interesting opportunity, is to co-brand with other, you know, it could be a beauty brand and a fashion brand working together. I think that the messaging has longevity. It can resonate. It's a great way to build community and offer, you know, if one particular fashion brand is really focused on beautiful dresses that you can wear at home and feel good, while the other brand is focused on, you know, wellness and your face and makeup and skincare. Those are great opportunities to collaborate, and we've seen some of our brands doing that, and it's had a, you know, a really, really strong effect. It feels authentic. I think, you know, one of the biggest things that we see as far as language, especially in the emails, you hear a lot of like, "You're our family," you know, we're reaching you at home. You know, just some of the things that feel more personalized, I think, is really crucial at this moment. People want that high touch. I mean, we all talked about personalization pre-COVID, but this is the highest level of personalization, and obviously utilizing your resources and your staff to have that customer, you know, one-on-one communication really makes a big difference. I don't know, Melissa, if you've seen any of the brands that have worked together it's been successful. I know Westman did a couple co-collaborations.
Yeah, I was gonna say Westman Atelier, and we have another brand too. They partnered with, you know, obviously not a competitor, but someone that paired really well with them, and they just did a social media campaign only. I don't think there was too much, you know, information on the site itself, but it was a giveaway. So you could nominate somebody to win a giveaway of products from the combination of both brands. And it was pretty successful. I think the two brands that we work that did this, I think it was a great way to give away some free products. It's a great way to partner with another brand and sort of combine the communities of both brands together to build awareness to the brand for the ones that were not as familiar. But something like that is a great way, again, to like give back and to support the community around us without having to necessarily be a hard discount on products themselves. I think that's a more affordable, creative way of reaching out to the community and rewarding those that are going above and beyond during a time like this.
Sorry, my internet is going a little bit wonky right now.
Yeah,
Is it just mine, or is it everything else? Is it just mine?
Yeah, just yours.
Okay. Did you see me all struggling?
Yeah.
All right, so I have to figure out where we all left off. Obviously, the appetite for spending, still remains low with consumers, as we're adopting to the new behaviors and habits post-COVID. And I guess what are some of the ways we can advise the brands here today, to build that long trusted support along the way, to believe, to purchase. I think one of the things we see is that the consumers, and when we look at the stats that we across the board on our clients, is we definitely see the consumer going in and really shopping for a very specific product at a very specific price. And it could be a product. Norma Kamali just released a new dress and jumpsuit that is one of our clients that you can wear in multiple ways, and that feeling of product that a woman or a man can feel comfortable while they're working, but also and feel human while they're having meetings, or while they're just sitting in their home taking one phone call after the next. So it's really owning in on specific products that can that offer a lot of versatility. I don't know if you guys have any comments on some of those things, on just specific products that you're seeing from our different clients.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things, one of our clients that I absolutely loved, and I reached out to her once I saw it in one of their email marketing campaigns. It was actually her working at this brand, wearing a cute top from the brand, and kind of made light of the fact that she was, having meetings and looking good from the top up. She was then transitioning into happy hour, and just finding, a way to show that you can still feel good waking up in the morning and treat yourself to, let's say, a nice top, and realize that, just because you can't go outside doesn't mean you're interacting with people, and you can, spend a little bit of money here and there to, feel good about yourself and treat yourself, and kind of also like make light of the situation where you're kind of like taking care of yourself from the top up.
I think also the storytelling is really important especially in your social channels, going back to what Melissa just echoed. I think storytelling and authentic storytelling is really important because we're all experiencing the same thing, and using those mechanisms to connect with your consumer, I think goes a long way. I think obviously we've talked about, doing something on behalf of, what's happening with COVID is also, a big win as far as, some of the skincare companies that we're working with. They're donating masks to the nurses and to the medical workers because they're wearing, these contraptions on their face 24/7 and sending them beauty care. And so the ability to not only make a purchase, but then on top of it, they're sending it directly to the workers, who then can use and take care of themselves when they're not when they're off hours or even during work hours. So I think those type of connections really make a difference. And if you can utilize those stories, it goes a long way too within your social channels. So I'm going to ask a couple more questions, and then I think we're going to open it up for you guys to ask us any questions. I would say, one of the questions we got asked was samples of, what constitutes a great email blast at this, time, or increases conversion without sounding too pitchy. What are some of the things that, our team has seen that have really been, that have worked, and our clients themselves have seen the good, the ROI off of it.
Not talking particular about any particular ad type. I think what I would say is you look at your ad spend, look where you're spending money, and reassess it very, very regularly. Different channels are going up and down. Spending money on your brand awareness first and foremost, rather than any particular promotion or product, I think that will stand you in good stead in the long run. And we're seeing a lot of people pivoting their ad spend to be just, much more about brand awareness and targeting the channels that are optimizing that spend.
I've heard a very similar thing.
Google Shopping and putting it into like Instagram and Facebook and things like that. It's much more successful.
Yeah, a lot of brands we talk to said the same thing. They're not really like changing their ad spend, the amount. It's more about pivoting and figuring out how to rearrange their dollars.
I think also, and we do it in our own business. I mean, things are shifting so fast, and we're really constantly moving the bricks every hour sometimes, and reacting and getting more information about this new normal. And it's really crucial, I think, as far as your marketing spend is, those things are going to adjust, and you're going to have to look quickly and fast to see what's working and what's not working. And then it's not necessarily we're seeing our clients' spend go down, but we're seeing them pivot to other areas where they're getting more ROI off of it, and it's more engagement and more brand awareness. So those are some of the things that we've been seeing across the board. So I'm going to go back to Darren for some more feature type of things that we think, with the initial surge obviously happening in March, what do you think are some tactics to turn some of our first-time purchasers into repeat orders or repeat buyers, and try to increase their value or their lifetime value and involvement with the brand?
Yeah, I think, one thing that will still stay pretty popular is, the review incentive. So reaching back out to your customers who have purchased to see if they're enjoying that purchase or if they're having any issues with it, offering, put maybe a promotion code for them to leave a review. It doesn't necessarily have to be a good one, but just give some feedback in general about the product. Looking at other areas of, referral promotions or even birthday promotions, things that can bring in new time customers through those incentives will potentially give them another purchase back. We've definitely seen some brands who are doing purchases that also give them entries into contests. So maybe partnering with another brand to do some sort of contest with each other, you could increase revenue that way, and each customer is, getting that additional incentive to make another purchase because it goes towards potential contest entry. Another one, and I'm drawing a blank right now. I don't know if someone else has something to chime in. Yeah, I'll stop there.
You saying refer a friend as well, just getting your multiples by referring lots of, like daughter's going to take over. Sorry.
Yeah, I think referral and affiliate networks are going to be really great right now. Even if you have an affiliate program today, and you have a small group of affiliates, remember they're all home and they're all actively on social media. Maybe reevaluating an affiliate program, maybe giving your affiliates some more incentive to market and communicate, maybe find some better affiliate promotions as well that those affiliates can share with their followers and the people that do admire your brand through them because they idolize that person from a social perspective and their lifestyle perspective as well. And if you don't have an affiliate network, those are things where there are a lot of third parties that you can configure and use right away with little to no implementation efforts as well. There's Refersion and several others that can be made available and that are also supported on multiple platforms as well. You don't need to take this time to expand a really custom affiliate network. Just see what's out there, see how you can use that. Your followers are, listening to you, and if they have the opportunity to work with you in that way, I'm sure they would take that opportunity, especially now.
As we're getting close to the time, I just kind of want to get an opinion from all of you. I think it really comes down to what are your most important priorities at this time. And each one of you can kind of echo that question or answer that question. I mean, obviously we know the landscape has changed and digital is really the most important channel at this point. And digital obviously has 360 components to it, be it social and your e-commerce site, and your communication and your logistics, is so crucial. So, just to wrap this up, because we have about 5 minutes or 4 minutes left before we get into question and answers, I just want to kind of, ask everybody on the panel, what are the most important things to focus on? What are your immediate priorities? How much do you shift your business during this time? How much do you stay the course? What are some of the things that, are some really smart, quick wins?
From my side, I would say payment installments, free shipping are the two most important items that I've seen to try and actually get a sale right now. The next thing would be marketing and advertising in general. I read somewhere that only less than 40% of people want brands to market the way they've always marketed. So that's proof right there that they don't want to be sold to in the same way that you normally do. So finding ways to slightly tweak your marketing terms, like, if you're, selling loungewear, pump up the dialogue a little bit to make it, really feel like this is the right product for you to work from home and do happy hour, like Melissa was saying, after work on Google Hangouts, right? So find the right way to take your maybe bestsellers or lower priced products and slightly change the terminology of how you're marketing them to make it fit in this time. Because the way you do it in a normal time is not going to work for now. And I would say the last thing is do not forget user research. Right now, everybody has time and money because it's actually really affordable right now to do user research. And that's as simple as creating a Google form, sending the link out to all of your customers, people who have bought from you before, maybe offering them a discount if they complete, and getting as much qualitative data from them as possible, because that's only going to get you to know them better and get you to know what they want and what they're expecting, not just right now, but also in the future when this is over with as well. I think that's one of the most important things, and I really think people should be doing that.
Yeah, Adam, I think that's a great point. And I mean, I think the other part of it is really balancing your efforts between the now and the future. So, you want to obviously continue a lot of those sales, so you can be really strategic about, how you bring in money now, but also not pushing products too much and feeling so salesy. So, you can do some of those sales or some of those sweepstakes to bring in some money now, but also balance that with how to relate to the future. And that could be through, just being more relatable and having more of a community and conversation with your customers through, just bringing more life to the brand and talking about either your fitness routine at home or your favorite activities that you're doing while you're at home, things like that. I think that people are looking for a cause and looking to connect, and people are sitting at home bored and kind of like going through social media and just finding ways to entertain themselves, and those things are going to resonate with customers for the future. So just don't forget that the things that might not have a direct impact now will surely have a direct impact in the future, and finding that balance is kind of the best way for people to use their time.
Paul, you have any thoughts on priorities?
I think that, getting the touch points, customer service, returns, having a good communication channel with the customers. You always go back to the idea that you have to scream from the hills that you're still in business. That a lot of people might think, there's no shipments going on, or everything's slowed down, and it's getting through the kind of peak of it now, where we're kind of starting getting bored to a certain extent. So I think, think about your communication. Tell people if you're still operating. Tell people you're still shipping. Tell people that you're still promoting. So communicate and think of all the touch points with your customer. Make sure that they all resonate in this new world.
There.
I think from my end, I'll focus primarily on the solution side of things. I think if you were going into this year and you had a roadmap of a lot of customizations, put a pause on those if you haven't already, and reconsider the requirements there. Really take advantage of the partner network that's out there. Technology is a big space, and there's a lot of people who have the experience building out these additional e-commerce features. And it could very well be that if you thought of a custom solution before, the requirements would change given the state that we're in now. I think it's important to say like configuration is much more valuable now than customization. So really focus on what's already available and how you can reevaluate your requirements to meet those as well.
Thank you. I want to thank all of you. I think it's 11:51, and I'm going to turn over to Sasha, and anyone can ask questions, or if there's been any questions that have come in.
Yes. We did have a few questions come in. So the first one is, most live chat tools are not ADA compliant. Do you have any specific recommendations for on-site options that meet these requirements?
It's concerned. ADA covers obviously a certain subset of brands. You have to hit a certain level of sales target, California, or look to be selling your information. So read up on the rules on ADA. Make sure that it does apply to you first and foremost, because I think well the recommendations or law, if you want to call it, is kind of vague. It does have certain stipulations that mightn't apply to you directly. I would also keep a close eye on what the Attorney General of California is saying, because while ADA has been in place since January, and you're meant to be looking for your business to be proactive in ADA compliance, they're not looking to prosecute or chase anyone until July. And there's an awful lot of pressure on the Attorney General of California to relax that for foreseeable future with the current circumstances we're under. He made an announcement, I think 2 weeks ago, saying that they weren't, but they're still looking into finalizing some aspects of the law. So the law isn't even fully realized or articulated yet. So while it's better to ask forgiveness than looking for doing the right thing very early on, I would catch that an awful lot of companies aren't going to be ADA compliant in full compliance, and that system isn't going to be fully in place by the time July rolls around, and to keep an eye on what other competitors are doing, what other services are available, and not you can concentrate a bit too much on the compliance with ADA and GDPR and some of the other new rules. Are they being chased after? I think ADA had a lot of people chasing it for the last year or two, but it's not a focus. I think what people will be focusing on in the foreseeable future, purely because that everything else is so clogged up that the courts won't be able to prosecute it. The lawyers won't be able to handle it. So keep an eye on it. And CCPA and ADA are both something you should be adhering to, but keep an eye on the actual rules and the laws that do apply to you.
Yeah, and specifically for those chat tools, I mean, obviously those companies are, maybe already thinking of ways to become ADA compliant, but for ways to get around that on your own terms, I would just say that make sure that there's other avenues for people that, do have special needs, that they can contact you directly or get that same level of support in other ways. Maybe now more than ever, instead of sort of hiding your customer service information under one link in the footer, maybe it's more important now to really break out that support email and that phone number and expose it more, you know, in the header or in the footer, so that people that don't or can't use a chat still can use a screen reader or find a very easy way to contact you directly through a more standard approach than chat.
Yeah, I think I conflicted ADA and CCPA because I'm working on both at the same time. But I think the same rule applies to both. You know that if ADA, you really have to make best efforts to stave off any litigation. And if you're making best efforts, people at the kind of company size you're at aren't going to be chasing you down. And same as CCPA. You know, if you're making best efforts and you're trying to do the right thing, have an ADA page, have recommendations on how you can use a browser, have a screen reader capability embedded, and there's some really cool little apps you can just install. They're not going to chase you down for ADA if you're making best efforts, and that's all you can do at this point.
Great, thanks. So the next question is, do you have any feedback on types of images that work best for fashion brands that translate to sales? Flat product shots versus on model with face, or on model with crop face, etc.
On model.
Yeah, I was going to say on model is more successful. You can see how it really fits. And I think to go one step further, if you are able to show on model shots with a varying degree, a range of body types and sizes, that's much better. And if you do that, don't say you're doing that. That can be a little tone deaf sometimes. Say, hey, look how it looks on this model, who's this size. You just put it as part of your assets and part of your content, as you see people of all different shapes and sizes, all genders, no genders, wearing your clothing. And that speaks volumes because they're seeing it and not being told about it. So definitely on model, I think it's much better, more successful.
Yeah, and obviously during like a time like this, it might be hard to, you know, if you don't already have those assets, it's really hard to produce those kind of assets right now. So thinking about other ways that you can communicate with your customers on size and fit, whether it's through reviews or user-generated content, other people, you know, showing how that product looks on them, that might be you know, an easy way to show something on model or describe how something fits until you have the resource to actually shoot on model.
I think it's also worth even the option of saying, this is how our employees wear this at home, or this is how it fits on this employee, where, you know, you're not able to get into a photo studio and shoot on models. Use the resources you have. Use the at-home experience through your employee network that's already there and working for you. You send them the product, get them to photograph themselves in it at home. It's much more relatable during these times as well.
Good point.
Great. In regards to shipping insurance, how have retailers and customer experiences been with Route? We generally always insure the package via UPS, but this would be a great way to reduce costs for us. Do customers generally feel that they should assume the responsibility with lost or damaged packages?
It's definitely a different experience. I think we've come from a world where shipping insurance is the responsibility of the merchant. What Route does is allows the consumer to purchase for that added insurance. It's usually a cost of $1, and they're given a lot more resources as well. It's not specific just to the single merchant. They can utilize an application that lets them track any packages that are funded under that insurance. And in the instance that an order is lost, Route will immediately replace the order for them at no cost to the merchant and at no cost to the customer. So it is a $1 fee for the consumer. The merchants do not pay the third party, but it's an added experience that allows the customers to know that they're not having to deal with that customer service call, especially where everyone's faced with a lot of high volume calls and wait times. And it's peace of mind that it's not necessarily forced upon your consumer. They have the option to do it, and it plugs in nicely in terms of marketing across the product detail pages and your checkout flow as well.
I think there's a level of empowerment as well to consumers. You know, they're feeling kind of helpless in this new world. Your concierge at the door mightn't be there anymore. The USPS is struggling. It gives a level of confidence, or it gives the ability of a customer to employ the level of confidence that they want if they need to. And everyone's got a different circumstance, but it also resonates that you're thinking about their current circumstances, and shows that you are conscientious of the need to be more careful. So it empowers them as well.
Great. We have one more question that hopefully we can sneak in. Shelley, you referenced Norma Kamali earlier, provided an example of a product she was now selling. Do each of you have an example of a brand that is doing it well right now?
Of our brands?
I mean, within your sector, anything within like apparel, jewelry, accessories that people can go to their website or their Instagram and learn or use as a reference if they.
I think Ulla Johnson's doing a great job. I think Mara Hoffman has always been great at communicating with her consumer. As far as it's always been a transparent communication and conversation. So I think she's continued that this is not easy. She does a lot of personal videos showing her husband and her son, and doing homeschooling, and then obviously a lot of her clothing, because it's something that you can wear at home and feel good about, but feel relaxed and go from your meetings to your happy hour with your team, or a yoga, not necessarily a yoga class, but some of the stuff you can. I think a lot, like I would say our beauty clients are doing a phenomenal job. Tula, Anissa, a lot of them, Trish McAvoy, I mean, they're doing a great job at donating products that can actually help the well-being of the medical workers, as I said before. I think where I see the most success, or the brands that I think are doing the best, is really when they're super authentic and transparent and telling stories, using their social channels as that mechanism, and then their e-commerce is very simple and easy, and then has a lot of the features that Darren has suggested that make the overall journey for the consumer, one, informational via the social channels, but then an easy transaction on the website. So I think that that's really crucial. That if I had to say where my priorities would be, I'd say definitely use live chat, social, any of those ways as your communication and your storytelling. And I think using employees to showcase them wearing your clothes. I mean, I can only tell you half of my staff, more than half of our staff is women. And any of the brands that would give us clothes to wear, trust me, they would all model it and look beautiful and send it in, and it would be great content. Yeah, it'd be different product sizes. It would be, product sizes. It would be different ways they shoot it, different way they look at it. It's a way to showcase how this. I know Coke Guy is on here as well, and they're like one of my favorite brands. And they have a great product to wear at home. I wear a lot of their stuff at home, so it's something I feel really sexy in. And I think that that's the whole thing, is that you want to make sure. I think the more authentic and storytelling you can do with your consumer is going to go a long way. And showing how, I think I mentioned Norma simply because she has a product out there that you can wear 5 different ways. And it goes back to the old Donna Karan style, when she came out in the early 80s with, a dress that you could wear in 5 different ways. And it's that right now, those are the things that we need. I know I wake up in the morning and want to look pretty still, and I want to take care of myself. And I think that that's really important, especially for the fashion clients that are online right now. Beauty's different because it's obviously a product that you can sell, and the price point is different. But I think you have to really own in on the product that's going to resonate during this time. So if you look at your, categories and your dresses and your tops, tops are selling like crazy, much more than pants, because we all have to show up and be online. So, really going after that consumer and talking to them from the place that they could be in.
And
I don't know, Melissa, do you have any brands that you think are doing a great job?
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I think that Nicole Miller is actually doing an incredible job. They're obviously in a tough spot. You know, they're products at a higher price point. They're, you know, not those like quick little you know, treats that you can buy for yourself. And I feel like they're doing a great job holistically, both in making masks. They have a video on how you can make your own mask. They are giving 10% of their proceeds away to a good cause. And then on top of that, they're being very relatable in their email marketing and socially, putting Nicole out there, you know, showing the humanity in her, and then even in their employees, you know, showing like what they're wearing while they're working from home or happy hour. I think they're, you know, really thinking about the big picture, and I think they're really seeing a huge return both now in their sales, and I think they're also going to see a huge return later on as they build this community now.
I want to say one other thing. I think sharing is, there's no egos here, you know, and that's the biggest thing is that, you know, I'm friends with a lot of CEOs of some of the major fashion brands, and, you know, I talk to them all the time, and everyone's sharing concepts and ideas and checking in with each other and having, you know, Google Hangout calls to talk about what's working and what's not working, because, you know, all, you know, everything's on the table as far as ideas and concepts. I think, you know, the most important thing, don't try to do too much during this period of time. Do what's right. You know, keep it simple, you know, be nimble, be able to be flexible and shift as the current is shifting, you know, right now we're in lockdown. What's it going to look like in, you know, a month from now when things start to open up? What's that new dynamic going to look like? What's that new environment? Because it will be different. And the way you communicate as people are afraid to go out into the community and restart their lives again in a different way is also going to need some nurturing. So you gotta be constantly pivoting your language and your voice and meeting the consumer where they're at, because that consumer is where you're at. You know, just keep going back to yourself.
Great. Well, thank you, everyone. We're a little over time, but we so appreciate all this feedback, this information. Paul, Shelley, Melissa, Darren, Adam, thank you so much for your time. If anyone who's joined us today has any follow-up questions, please email me directly. It's Sasha Brown, s.brown@cfda.com. And I can help answer any additional questions, even if I need to forward it to the One Rockwell team. But thank you all. I know from the CFDA, we love you guys. We hope you stay safe and healthy, and we'll talk to you all soon.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Sasha.
Thank you,
Thank
One
you.
Rockwell team.
Stay safe, stay sane.
You too. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.